This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Live from the Circa Sportsbook here in downtown Las Vegas, I'm Scott Seidenberg. It is Live Bet Sunday here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. As we get you ready for Sunday night baseball in the Bronx, the Subway Series will conclude this edition between the Yankees and the Mets, and we have a Game 7 on the ice coming up about a half an hour from now, where we will see the Florida Panthers take on the Toronto Maple Leafs in Toronto. The winner advances to the Eastern Conference Finals to take on the Carolina Hurricanes. Lots to get into, and I want to start with this baseball game because it is about 10 minutes away from first pitch, if that. So let's jump right into the action. Yankees, Mets from Yankee Stadium. It is Max Fried on the mound for the Yankees, and he is solidifying himself as a Cy Young favorite here in the American League. Looking at the odds right now for the American League Cy Young Award, there's going to be names that you're going to recognize at the top here. Guys like Garrett Crochet of the Red Sox, certainly been building up himself a nice reputation. You're going to have Tarek Skubal, the reigning Cy Young Award winner, pitching great for the Detroit Tigers. Hunter Brown for the Astros has had a tremendous start to his season. Max Fried is plus 500 to be the American League Cy Young Award winner. And it's hard to find. I mean, you look at those other guys and you say, yeah, they've had a tremendous start to their seasons, but Max Fried has been as good, if not better. Fried leads Major League Baseball with 6 wins. He is a perfect 6-0 on the season. He is amongst the pitchers with your innings. He has 56 2/3 innings pitched, so after tonight would likely have the lead in innings pitched in Major League Baseball. His ERA sits at an incredibly low 1.11, the lowest ERA in Major League Baseball amongst qualified pitchers. Not saying that's going to last, but right now, season ends today, he has the best ERA. His whip, 0.94. As he's striking out 8.3 nines per guy, 8.3 batters per 9 innings. The Ks per 9 could be higher. Only 52 strikeouts, but only 13 walks. He's allowed 3 homers on the season, but only 7 earned runs. And if you look at, like I said, look at the starting pitchers, he is sitting here with the lowest ERA in baseball with only 7 earned runs. Hunter Brown has allowed 9 earned runs. Tyler Mahle, 9 earned runs. And everyone beyond there that is maybe a heavier favorite to win the Cy Young than Max Fried has allowed more earned runs. Now, is tonight the night that Fried solidifies himself as a top 2, top 3 favorite? Or does he come back down to earth tonight? Do the Mets hit him tonight? I got a couple of plays I'm looking at here in this game. The first one, a little bit contradictory to what you might think with the pitching matchup here of Max Fried against David Peterson. But I'm going with the total over. That's right. I am going over the total of 9. Right now, it is 9.5, or it was 9.5. It's still 9.5 some places. But here at Circa, you get a juiced 9, minus 115 to the over. I'm going with the over 9 tonight because this is a wind game. When they throw the first pitch in about 5 minutes or so from now, the wind will be at 16 miles per hour blowing out to right field. And what do we know about Yankee Stadium? The short porch in right field turns fly balls into home runs. We have 16-mile-per-hour winds blowing out to right field. As we progress later on through the night, 15-mile-per-hour winds blowing out to right field. It won't get below 15-mile-per-hour winds throughout the entirety of this game. And so we are going to go over the total here, over the 9 runs. But I'm actually going to do something crazy. I'm considering an anti-correlated same-game parlay. And I'm going to look at the over for the game, over 9, and I'm looking on the DraftKings Sportsbook right now, the over 9 for the game in a same-game parlay with the under in the first 5 innings. Now, hear me out. I know you're saying, Scott, this doesn't make any sense. But we have two really good starting pitchers in Max Fried and David Peterson. Now, I don't know how long these guys are going to go into the game. But I think we can expect, based on the numbers, that both pitchers could get off to good starts. This has been a low-scoring series after all, right? The Mets won 3-2 yesterday. It was a 6-2 Yankees win in Game 1 of the series. And in that game, Yankees scored, had a big third inning with the 4 runs in the third inning. But I think both pitchers could get off to decent starts tonight. Plus, this is a 7:10 Eastern time first pitch. The sun will be setting early on here in this game. Sunset in the Bronx is not for another hour. 8:09 p.m. is sunset in New York City. I think early on, the first hour of this game, the pitchers could have the edge. Maybe some shadows due to the sunset. Perhaps gives the pitchers an edge over the batters. And then when the sun goes down and the weather cools just a bit, it'll be about 71 or so degrees at first pitch, probably about 67, 65 a little bit later on in the game. As the weather cools down, the wind will still be there. The sun is down, the sky is dark. The hitters will then have the advantage off of the bullpens. And I think that we could have the first 5 innings be relatively low scoring, maybe a 3-1 lead for a team, only 4 runs scored in the first 5 innings, and then 5 to 6 to 7 runs scored in the second half of this game. And we go under 4.5 in the first 5, same game parlay with over 9 for the game, the anti-correlated parlay plus 600 up on DraftKings right now. And if you wanted to just give yourself maybe a little bit more cushion and go with the under 5.5 in the first 5, it's plus 375. But the under 4.5 for the first 5 innings with the over 9 for the game is plus 600. Now, like I said, you can do the under 5.5 in the first 5 innings. And how about this? You want to give yourself a little cushion in the first 5, but then make up the juice on the back end of this game? You can go under an alternate number of 5.5 for the first 5, and then an over of an alternate 9.5 instead of 9 for the game, and it's plus 405. So just different ways to manipulate the juice and the payout here. But I like this anti-correlated same-game parlay of going under in the first 5 innings, but over for the full game, because I think the pitchers could have an edge early. And this way, we're not fading Max Fried. We're just thinking the Yankees and the Mets might combine for some runs a little bit later on in this game against the bullpens. Now, my main bet, though, is going to be on the over 9. That's my main bet. So if it blows through in the first 5 innings, I don't care about it. That plus 600 is just a sprinkle, right? That is an optional same-game parlay, fun pizza money thing that you could do at plus 600 odds. But the main bet for me is the over because of the wind. And if you're looking at a home run prop, which I'd like to have some fun here, show me Trent Grisham to hit a home run. Plus 675 for Trent Grisham to go deep. Now, I know it's lefty on lefty, which we don't really like, but I think it comes home. I think we're going to see it. I understand lefty on lefty, not ideal, but Trent Grisham has hit about 2 home runs this year against lefties. David Peterson is a lefty that does have somewhat reverse splits, so he gives up some home runs to left-handed batters and right-handed batters. But Trent Grisham plus 675 anytime home run here for the New York Yankees. I want to target lefties. I want to target guys that put the ball, either a lefty that pulls the ball to right field or righties that go opposite. Pete Alonso might be a good guy. But again, when you bet these top guys like Pete Alonso and Aaron Judge, these are the most juiced players. Like Judge is plus 185 to hit a home run tonight. Now, that could happen. But I'd like to get something better than that. Pete Alonso plus 425. I don't hate it. but it's Max Fried. Do you think Fried's only allowed 3 home runs all year? I'd rather go with a longer shot, like a guy, as I mentioned, Trent Grisham, at the plus 675 odds as we are getting underway here in the Bronx. Mets and Yankees. Max Fried against David Peterson. Once again, I am on the over 9 in this game. 9.5. If you can only get 9.5, you can get 9.5, but Circa had it at 9 here. We are over 9 in this game. And the anti-correlated parlay, a little bit of a sprinkle. Over 9 for the game. Under 4.5 for the first 5 innings. Plus 600 payout. Get those bets in right now. First pitch right now coming between the Mets and the Yankees from the Bronx. Coming up next, we're going to transition and get into the Game 7 on the ice up in Toronto between the Maple Leafs and the Panthers. We're going to be joined by our guest joining us on the segment is Bonanno Bets, Ian Cameron, who is frequent guest here on VSiN. So we'll get his take on this game. I can tell you right now, I'm making a bet that I don't like. Well, I should say this. I don't love it. I think it's cute, and I think I'm getting too cute maybe for my own good. But at plus 250 odds, I'm taking a shot. I'll tell you what that plus 250 bet is coming up next. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Hit me up on Twitter at ScottsOnAir, ScottsOnair. This is Live Bet Sunday, off and running right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back here on Live Bet Sunday. I'm Scott Seidenberg here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Yankees and Mets are underway in the Bronx. We are tracking it as we have our bet on the over 9 in this game. Kind of contradictory to what the market was doing, but we love the wind factor here, and we did get cute with the same game parlay with the under in the first 5. But the over for the full game at plus 600. We'll see how that plays out here as Max Fried pitches to Juan Soto with 1 out in the top of the first inning. But joining us right now to preview the upcoming Game 7 in Toronto between the Maple Leafs and the Panthers, you follow him on Twitter at Bonanno Bets. He is Ian Cameron, frequent contributor here on VSiN, joining us on the Progressive Guest Line. And Ian, when it comes to Game 7s on the ice, there's nothing better, in my opinion. What's your first go-to handicap in a Game 7 situation, Stanley Cup playoffs?
Well, in the playoffs, for the most part, Scott, if you go back in years now in Game 7s in the NHL, they are lower scoring. So the first thing you usually like to look at is, unders in some kind of form. And you could choose to go with first period under, because often the first 20 minutes is usually a very tight checking, conservative, don't want to make that first mistake start. And then you could always run into trouble later in the game in third periods, if a team's up by a goal or two, where the empty net could, quickly turn an under into an over as far as the full game is concerned. But generally speaking, Game 7, certainly percentage-wise, more unders than overs. There is a go-to bet that I've gone to over the last couple of years in Game 7s in the NHL. It's worked out quite well, and it's a same-game parlay bet that you can make at, certainly a lot of the offshore books. You can do this with FanDuel, among others. But it's taking both of the teams in the Game 7, plus 2.5 goals on the puck line. So that's Florida plus 2.5, Toronto plus 2.5. And you attach the under at 6.5 onto that, just to give you a little bit more wiggle room and a little bit more cushion as far as the total goes. I know at FanDuel, when I bet that earlier today, it was minus 130. That's Florida plus 2.5, Toronto plus 2.5, under 6.5, minus 130, same game parlay. You look at 2 instances just in this round in the elimination games where that parlay has worked out quite well. You think back to Edmonton-Vegas Game 5, perfect scenario for that bet. And obviously it was that 1-0 overtime win for Edmonton to advance to the Western Conference Finals. You look at the game last night, Winnipeg-Dallas Game 6, where if you had taken Winnipeg plus 2.5, Dallas plus 2.5, and under 6.5, it would have hit for you as well. So It's been good in game sevens, this particular bet, using the SGP route with both teams plus 2.5 goals on the puck line and attaching under 6.5 to it at a reasonable price. And for me, that's the best approach here in game 7.
I actually did place that bet, and I did it BetMGM. I got it at minus 110. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, that makes total sense. And I went ahead and I played that. The plus 2.5 both ways, parlayed with the under 6.5. Minus 110 was the best odds that I saw at BetMGM. So I do recommend
and
that.
Dallas, Colorado, game 7, Scott, just to chime in, Dallas, Colorado, game 7. Now, it got close, and it's why it's the importance I stress to everyone listening, 6.5 as opposed to just keeping the total at 5.5. Mm-hmm. If you're going to bet this same game parlay, because game 7, Dallas, Colorado ended 4-2 Dallas. So your plus 2.5s are both good. And your under 6.5 gets there as well. But if you had gotten with the 5.5, which was probably the regular total for that game, you would have lost that one. So all the more reason to make it 6.5, and you'll still only have to lay a pretty small, reasonable price on it.
Now, I did something cute here in this game. I wanted to bet Toronto. And instead of taking Toronto on the money line, which right now you can get them at plus 120 or so, I got cute, Ian, and I laid minus a goal and a half on the Maple Leafs at plus 290 odds. Now, I think there are worse bets to be made than backing a home team here in a Game 7. I get it. Florida has been the better team. But maybe there is something to be said about momentum and getting that 2-0 win to stave off elimination in Florida, where everything was against you in that game. And now you return home for the biggest game in Toronto in years. Maybe this is the moment for the Maple Leafs, because if they do lose tonight, I don't know what the future of this team as presently constructed is. I think it's done. This window might be closed. But I got cute, and I took the plus 290 on the Leafs minus a goal and a half.
That's how big this game is, Scott. There's no underselling it. I mean, this could be a completely different looking team if they lose game 7 tonight. And you think of some of the contract situations in the offseason. John Tavares is going to need a new contract. Mitch Marner, of course, is going to be one of the most sought after free agents in the National Hockey League this summer. You know, where do they go with those two guys in particular if they lose tonight? And it kind of feels like if this isn't the night for the core to take that step, they've had 9 years to get past the second round and to get to a conference finals and never have. Think about it. This group hasn't even won a game 7, in these 9 years. They're 0-5 in game 7s, the Toronto Maple Leafs, since 2018. And the thing about the bet you mentioned, Leafs with the alternative puck line, minus 1.5 at a really good plus price, is that if you like Toronto in any form, you're going against every stat and every trend that says Florida tonight. You've got Paul Maurice 5-0 in game 7s. Brad Marchand has not lost a game 7. And, of course, he now plays for the Florida Panthers. You've got Toronto, who haven't won a game 7. And yet I'm kind of with you here, where I think there's a lot of things that I saw in Toronto's game 6 that tells me, look, if the pressure was getting to them and this was going to be another moment where this franchise was going to choke, and it sure looked that way in game 5, then how the hell do you come back and play the way you did in game 6, where you played just a phenomenal team game? You checked all over the ice. Your defensive game was airtight. You were blocking, you doubled Florida and blocked shots. That's the kind of commitment that shows that you care. It's the kind of commitment that shows that you want to win. You want to shake these doldrums and this narrative that you can't get it done in the clutch. How do you play a game like that and then not have some kind of confidence going into game 7 tonight? So this, like I said, stats, Scott, trends are not going to be your friend going into this game if you like Toronto. But that old thing that I call, the gut feel, it does feel like there's things that tell me Toronto's ready to take this step, and we're about to find out, that's for sure.
Now, if you wanted to lay some juice, and we're talking to Ian Cameron on the Progressive Guest Line, I'm Scott Seidenberg. It's Live Bet Sunday here on VSiN as we're previewing the Maple Leafs and the Panthers Game 7, which will begin in about 15 minutes or so from now. If you wanted to lay some juice, and I'm not going to tell people what to do with their money, but it is a minus 230 bet up on DraftKings right now. Maple Leafs plus a goal and a half. All I can say is this. Since the start of the 2021 season, Ian, so if we start past COVID, right? And we go back to the normal playoffs. Since the start of that 2021 season, Game 7s, the underdogs, which Toronto, despite being the home team, is the underdog tonight. The dogs in Game 7s are 11-1 on the puck line. 11-1 on the puck line, the underdogs. How about that?
Well, that's definitely percentages on your side. And just off the top of my head, I'm looking back at a lot of Toronto's Game 7 results specifically. And again, this is a franchise that hasn't won a Game 7 with this current core of Matthews, Marner, Nylander, and Tavares on the team. But I'm looking at their Leafs records. And this is their closeout elimination game record. There are so many one-goal losses. There was 2-1 against Boston in Game 7 last year. There was a 2-1 back in 2022. They've had a lot of tight losses, this group in recent years. So there's a chance this is another one-goal game yet again. And this coincides, obviously, with the SGP that I mentioned earlier, thinking it's going to be difficult, for either team to pull away and gain a margin.
One final stat that I'm going to play in this one is Sergei Bobrovsky, over 22.5 saves. We know that he's got to be the difference maker for this Florida team, and I do like what I saw from Toronto offensively in game number 6, so I think they try to get more pucks to the net here in game 7. I'm going to go Bob over 22.5 saves. What do you think about that, Ian?
I don't mind it. The problem I have with the saves props or any shots on goal props is these two teams are really showing their moxie and their guts blocking a ton of shots, especially the last few games. And I'll give you one player prop that I really like. Christopher Tanev is brought in here to shore up this defense, do the kind of little things defensively to help this team win playoff games. And this guy would put his face in front of a puck if he needed to at any given moment. He is a warrior. He looks like a hockey player, the long flow, the missing teeth. And he has been a warrior for this Leafs team. I really like him over 2.5 blocked shots tonight. It's a reasonable price, minus 130 or so. I think you're going to see Tanev blocking every shot possible. So I think he goes over that number, 2.5 blocked shots, Chris Tanev for the Leafs.
I love it, Ian. I love it. Yeah, a lot of books certainly don't let you do the same game parlay with the block shots, or else that's something I'd be all over. But definitely find the book that offers the block shots. I believe DraftKings does have block shots props. Tanev over 2.5. I do co-sign that bet. Ian, great stuff, man. Enjoy the game, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's Game 7. Let's hope for some good live betting opportunities here.
No doubt, Scott. Enjoy the game, and same to the audience as well. Hopefully it's a great, classic Game 7.
There he is, Ian Cameron. Check him out on Twitter, @BobanoBets. Frequent guest here on VSiN. All right, we'll get to the final numbers prior to puck drop, plus update you on what's going on Sunday Night Baseball. It's Live Bet Sunday with me, Scott Seidenberg, right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Good start for the over in the Bronx as the Yankees have a 2-0 lead here in the bottom of the first inning. It was a Cody Bellinger RBI double down the line, scoring Aaron Judge, and I believe who else scored? It was Judge and Goldie scored as Goldschmidt was the leadoff batter, and he got on base, and then next thing you know, we have it was an error that Goldie got on base by third. Error by Vientos at third. Then Grisham flied out to center. We were hoping for the Trent Grisham home run, and we got a long ways to go. We got a full game, but we do, Grisham batting second. We like that in front of Aaron Judge as well. So that's another reason why you like the Grisham home run prop, is that he's going to see pitches in front of Aaron Judge. But then Judge gets a shot down the line, a ground rule double down the line in right field. And then Cody Bellinger with the base hit down right field double that scored 2 runs. Volpe then got out, and Dominguez is up now for the Yankees, who have a 2-0 lead, bottom of the first inning. Cash your Yerfies, your yes run first inning, and we are looking good for the over, as your live total right now is up to 10.5 between the Yankees and the Mets there in the Bronx. Pete Alonso in the first inning, by the way, in the top of the first, thought that he homered. He hit a shot to deep left field, and out of the box, thought it was a home run. It wound up being an out at the warning track, and I'm telling you, that one was all because of the wind. The wind here in this game is blowing out to right field, and so that kept the ball in the ballpark. If you look at the StatCast data on that Pete Alonso flyout, it would have been a home run in 3 major league ballparks: Fenway with the Green Monster, Houston with the Crawford boxes, and Toronto. That would have been the only ballparks that this would have gone out at. So 3 ballparks it would have been a home run in. The rest, including Yankee Stadium tonight, it was not, but 109.9 off the bat, an expected batting average of 410 as Pete Alonso flies out to the warning track there. But end of the first inning, good start for our over as the Yankees lead 2-0 over the Mets. And again, your live total is at 10.5 right now. Moments away from the puck drop in Toronto. Maple Leafs and Panthers. Here's where we are in the market right now. The Panthers are minus 142 favorite at DraftKings, and the total is at 5.5, significantly juiced to the under at minus 162. If you're looking at your first period bets, in the first period, your under 1.5 is juiced at minus 166. Now, that is a bet that I would make. Game 7s, if you look back and let's just say throughout the history of the database that I have here, you're looking at Game 7s have an average of 1.4 goals in the first period. It is the fewest goals of any period. And if we just isolate it to more recent seasons, so like the start of the 2021 season, as I like to go, the post-COVID years, we're looking at an average total in the first period of 0.7 goals. And that is by far the lowest scoring out of all 3 periods here in game number 7s. In the history of game number 7s, in that same time span, since the 2021 season, we are 10-4 to the under. And as I mentioned, the first period averaging only 0.7 goals. So we're going to go under 1.5 goals in the first period. We'll lay the juice at the minus 166. I also don't hate if you were going to pick on one team to win the first period. I like it to be the Florida Panthers because Florida is coming off the shutout loss, an inexplicable shutout loss at home. Like, they have dominated this series, the Florida Panthers, and statistically have had every single edge in this series. If you look at all the numbers here, we'll give them to you. In all situations in this entire series, well, I got to look at the series, not the game, but we have had Florida be the much better team. They've been the much better team in this series. And going home with a chance to with a chance to win the series on your home ice, a series that you've dominated, and you don't, not only do you don't get the job done on home ice, but you lose, you get shut out. Credit Joseph Wall, great game for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but that's one you got. That's one you have to have here. Here's what we're looking at for the entire series overview. Through 6 games, in all situations, so not just even strength or non-power plays, whatever. In all situations in this series, in 6 games, we have had, let's see, Toronto with expected goal numbers. Boy, this has been an even series. This has been an even series. Let me, wrong stat. All right. Let's look at I was looking at some penalty situations. Let's look at, not 5-on-5s. I want to look at the entire games. We're looking at expected goals, 17 for Toronto, 20 for Florida. 17 expected goals, and that's right on what's happened. Toronto has scored 16 goals in this series. They were expected to score 17. Florida has scored 20 goals in this series. They've been expected to score 20 goals in this series. High danger scoring chances. It has been pretty even. 76 for Toronto, 79 for Florida. And high danger goals, 9 apiece for each team. It's been a pretty even series. Now, let's look at the other analytics aspect of this, which is your shot attempts and your possession. If we look at the Corsi, it is not even close. Florida, which is an analytics darling here, is dominating the possession in this series. Absolutely dominating. Shot attempts, and this includes shots that are blocked, shots that go to the net, that miss the net, and shots that wind up on goal. 467 for the Florida Panthers, 302 for Toronto. That's domination. Now, how about the shots that actually get through to the net? 312 for Florida, 235 for Toronto. And total shots on goal, 184 for the Panthers, 153 for Toronto. So if you look at those stats, Florida has dominated this series. With the 3 more expected goals, but that's kind of where they are, scoring 4 more goals in this series. You can see why we're at a Game 7, but you can also see why Florida's a favorite, even on the road, as they've had the better of the play in this series. In fact, I think there's only been one game. If we look at, let's see, in all situations, how many games did Toronto actually outplay Florida? Let's see. In Game 1, Maple Leafs won 5-4. Kind of even, slightly leaning towards Florida. Game 2, absolutely in favor of Florida, even though it was a 4-3 Maple Leafs win. Game 3, dominated by Florida. They win 5-4. Game 4, dominated by Florida. They win 2-0. Game 5, dominated. They win 6-1. Game 6, Florida even dominated the stats and lost 2-0. They've dominated this series. But here we are, Game 7 in Toronto. Biggest game in Canada in years. And if they don't win tonight, this version of the Toronto Maple Leafs may be done. We might never see this team together again. The window is closed. This is the best version we've seen of this Leafs team in years. And if they don't reach the conference final this year, they're going to blow it all up. Let me tell you guys about Edge Boost, the first ever bank account built for bettors, ensuring all gambling transactions are approved. No usage fees, no minimums. Earn cashback rewards. 100% approval for all betting deposits. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet with promo code LIVE. Deposit $25 and Edge Boost will match the deposit. That's edgeboost.bet. As the puck is about to drop, a reminder, we are on the under 1.5 goals in the first period. We're on Sergei Bobrovsky, over 22.5 saves, and our fun little same-game parlay with both teams at plus 2.5, parlayed with the under 6.5 at minus 110 odds, and our cute bet. Yes, plus 290 on the Toronto Maple Leafs minus 1.5 goals. Boy, that would be exciting. As the puck is about to drop, we will get underway, update you on the first couple of moments of play, plus Sunday Night Baseball as we are hoping for runs in the Bronx with all the wind blowing out to right field. I'm Scott Seidenberg. It's Live Bet Sunday here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Scott Seidenberg back here with you. Live Bet Sunday rolls on here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We got 2 games in progress to live bet. We have the Game 7 on the ice between Toronto and Florida, scoreless right now through about 4 minutes of play here. Taking a look at the live numbers, we are at the live total of 4.5 minus 175 to the over, plus 135 to the under 4.5. And right now, Florida minus 154 on the live money line. Toronto plus 120 up on DraftKings. And in Major League Baseball, Sunday Night Baseball off to a great start for the over. Yankees with a 2-1 lead over the Mets as they head to the bottom of the second inning in the Bronx. Jeff McNeil with a base hit. Was it a 2-out base hit? But it was a single for Jeff McNeil, scoring Mark Vientos. And the Mets cut the lead in half, 2-1. Yankees lead going to the bottom of the first inning. It'll be LeMahieu, Wells, and Peraza due up for the Yankees before they get back to the top of the lineup, and Paul Goldschmidt. Meanwhile, the Mets have batted through, as they will have the top of the lineup coming up with Francisco Lindor in the top of the third inning. Max Fried so far, 2 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. And for David Peterson in the first inning, 2 runs on 2 hits. Only one of them earned, no walks, and no strikeouts. But we're monitoring the action, and we're waiting to see if there's any live bets to be placed. Your live total in the Yankee game is at 10.5. We got nothing on that because we're already on the over 9.5. So no reason to dive in on the live numbers, but we'll see as this game moves along if there are live betting opportunities. Yankees are minus 315 on the money line. Don't want a piece of that. We do have a couple of props in play here, in addition to our over 9.5 for the game and that little cute same game parlay that we sprinkled on the under in the first 5 with the over. So the under in the first 5 not looking great, but it's okay because the main bet was on the over, so I'll take the runs. But maybe who knows, if it's 2-1 or if it stays 2-1 or it's 3-1 after 5 innings, and then we hit that first 5 under, and then we just hope to get more runs for the rest of the game, and we could actually have an opportunity to live bet an over during the game, because that total is going to drop down. Right now, the total is at 10.5, and it will drop down if they go scoreless for the next couple of innings here. Meanwhile, on the ice, no live bets right now. And obviously, it's very difficult to live bet if you're not waiting until the intermissions. I know you can do something when they do a stoppage and they go to a commercial break, and that's, when they do a commercial break to sweep the ice. But I like to wait till the period comes to a close, because then I can kind of look into the full analytical aspect of the period and see who did what in the period, who dominated possession, what the shot attempt numbers were, the high danger scoring chances, et cetera, and then I can evaluate how to place my second period wager or a live wager on the full game from that moment on. So I don't really do a lot during these commercial stoppages, but we'll see what the lines are and we'll evaluate as we move along here in the first period. But trending towards the under here first, which Game 7s tend to do. First period under is what we're on and sweating out right now. 13 minutes to go in this scoreless first period in Toronto between the Maple Leafs and the Panthers. I want to quickly touch on what we saw earlier today across all of sports. We had Scottie Scheffler, congratulations, winning the PGA Championship as he wins his 3rd major title. Jon Rahm for a while was kind of in contention, but then dropped off as Scheffler finished 11 under par to clear the field by 5 strokes. Harry English, Bryson DeChambeau, both were at 6 under. Jon Rahm, who had a chance before, as I mentioned, fading, he wound up finishing with a 73, a final round of 73. Yuck, gross. As he goes 4 under for the tournament. But Scheffler, with a final round 71, maintains his spot on top of the leaderboard and wins his 3rd major title. So congratulations to Scottie Scheffler for winning that one. And now, I guess we focus our attention next on, what is it, the U.S. Open is next? As we do, we had the Masters, PGA, and yeah, because then, remember, they changed the schedule years ago, right? Like, didn't it used to be the Open Championship and then the U.S. Open, but then they changed it to do it, because I believe I'm correct in that, because I think that we used to have it later in the year, and then they changed it, because, I don't know, maybe, or I think, yeah, it used to be 2019. Thank you. My producer Luke telling me 2019 is when they changed it. That's right. Because I remember it used to be later, but they didn't want to go like 2 months without the major. So they wanted this major calendar in golf to be every month. So you go Masters in April, PGA in May, US Open July, and the Open or June, and the Open Championship in July, as opposed to having that huge gap. And then you go the Open Championship and then the U.S. Open. So U.S. Open this year will be played. Bryson DeChambeau is your reigning champion. Congratulations, Bryson. And this one is going to be played, let's see, where's the course this year? Let's see. U.S. Open in 2025. As you can see, I'm not a huge golf bettor here. But let's take a look at the odds, because that's what I'm curious about. With Scheffler winning right now, with Scheffler winning this, you would think he emerges as the favorite for the U.S. Open, and in fact, he is. He is plus 400, the favorite to win the U.S. Open. And guess who the second favorite is? That's right, your Masters winner, Rory McIlroy, is your second favorite, as Scheffler is plus 400, Rory is plus 600, Xander Schauffele is plus 1,100, and then Bryson DeChambeau, your reigning champ, is at 12-1. Those are your four favorites. Tournament will be at Oakmont Country Club. So Oakmont Country Club in Texas is where the U.S. Open will be this year, and that's coming up next month. Scottie Scheffler, who, your two major champions, Scheffler and Rory, are your two favorites right now for the U.S. Open. In Major League Baseball today, we had some teams that were looking to avoid getting swept, but were unable to do so. How about the Mariners, who, they looked so bad. The Mariners were playing. It's so strange. Baseball is, and I go back to this all the time. Famous Yankee broadcaster John Sterling, and his partner Susan Waldman, his famous saying, anytime he would talk about something that was, whether you couldn't explain it or it was just bizarre or just, a team could score, a team scores 20 runs the previous night and then gets shut out or gets no hit the next night, and he'd say, well, that's baseball, Susan. And that became a famous saying. And so anytime you see something, and it honestly, for like Yankees fans and really sports personalities, it's translated into just part of our vernacular. So that like even when we're not even explaining baseball, you're just explaining something else that's like, that's bizarre or inexplicable. You're like, that's baseball, Susan. Well, the Mariners, who looked so good and then looked so bad getting swept by the Blue Jays and losing 2 of 3 to the Yankees, go to San Diego and sweep the Padres. That's baseball, Susan. And then you had the Diamondbacks, who shut out the Rockies 8-0 in the first game of the series before blowing a ridiculous lead and losing 14-12 last night, have a 1-0 shutout victory here on Sunday. So 26 runs scored last night, 1 run scored today. That's baseball season. How about the Dodgers getting swept by the Angels? That is something that if you would have bet that before the series, I'm very curious how much money you would have made on that. And I'm not talking about just betting the Angels money line and then like betting it again and betting it again. I'm saying like if you would have bet before the series, and we took you can bet series prices and you could bet like series outcome. If you would have bet the Angels to sweep, my goodness, I wonder what that payout would have been. And the Minnesota Twins saw their losing streak snapped at, 13 games? 13 games? As the streak ends at 13 and 34 straight shutout innings from Twins pitchers comes to a close as they lose 5-2 in a game where I probably could have explained it for them losing. Like, why did they call up Zebby Matthews to get the start here? I think they send Simeon Woods Richardson down, but hey, that's baseball, Susan. You want to know where the money is really going? Unlike other sources, our betting splits here at VSiN come straight from Circa and DraftKings Sportsbooks, giving you the insight into where the sharp action is landing. Circa is known for taking big bets from pro bettors, while DraftKings providing a broader market perspective. That means you're getting the real action, not just the public money, but the kind of wagers that move lines. You can see the percentage of bets versus the percentage of handle on every game across every major sport, helping you make smarter, more informed bets. Get VSiN's exclusive betting splits for as little as $9.99 for your first month at vsin.com/subscribe. We will continue the Major League Baseball conversation. Coming up next, we'll be joined by our very own Greg Peterson. Yankees 2-1 lead over the Mets as we are in the top of the third in the Bronx on Sunday Night Baseball. It's Live Bet Sunday here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.